Now officially, Shabbat Shalom. Make sure you all have prayer books with you, the blue ones that say Mishkan Tefillah on them. They're in English and Hebrew and transliteration. Those of you on the live stream, hello, Shabbat Shalom. Also, if you'd like to get a Sidur, they are accessible through our website, so cbiboca.org. Go there. Once you get to cbiboca.org, then press worship. Under worship, there's Shabbat services, and under Shabbat services, you will see that there is a section for the prayer book, and you press that, and it'll take you right to our prayer book. I'm behind a chamber here, so I'm going to take the mask. I'm going to take the mask off since I'm behind the chamber here. We are going to begin with a little Hinei Matov on page 10. Hinei Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei ma tov shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei ma tov shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei ma tov u'manayim 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 shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei ma tov, ya la 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 la. Hinei ma tov, ya la 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 la. Hinei ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Our psalm says how good and pleasant it is that brothers and sisters dwell together, and so how lovely it is to be with you on this fine Shabbat, on this Erev Shabbat, as we get to let go of our week, of our rough week, whatever difficulty or hard labor we've had throughout our week, and we can transition smoothly, hopefully, into a calm, peaceful, lovely Shabbat where everything is enhanced. Our rest is enhanced. Our prayer is enhanced. The food we eat is enhanced, and we get to be together during Shabbat. To officially start Shabbat, we are going to light some Shabbat candles. So we're going to turn back to page 2 in your Sidurim, and we're going to invite up our ritual chair, Susie Glatt, to light our Shabbat candles for us. Page 2.
Asher kitchanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
we turn one page to page 5, so we were able to sanctify Shabbat through the lighting of Shabbat candles. We'll also get to sanctify Shabbat with a little bit of the wine or juice. So we are on page 5, and we continue with our Kiddush. A little known Kiddush fact, by the way, is that you don't need wine to sanctify the Sabbath in this particular prayer. It's typically the wine it's wine that's picked, but it can be anything, by the way, other than water that you can use to sanctify. I have a good friend of mine who is a rabbi, and she has a very bad allergy to grapes. So she has never had wine before. So poor thing, rabbi, never has wine. So she always teaches to everyone, you can have apple juice or apple cider, or you can even have milk. I think she's also lactose intolerant. So she can't have milk, but one could have milk if they wanted to also sanctify the Sabbath. But we're going to do it with wine on page 5. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh זכר לציאת מצרים, כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון, הנחלתנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת. L'chaim. That's a 76, I think. It was not a 76. It was it was Welch's or something, or Manischewitz or something. Whew. So now that our candles are lit and we have gone through our Kiddush, we are officially within the bounds of Shabbat, which is a beautiful place to be. And so with that, we are going to continue now with Lecha Dodi, which is on page 20. And these are the beautiful words of Shlomo Halevi. I bring this up a bunch, but it's by Shlomo Halevi, who signed his name inside of the blessing. So if you look at the first letter of each of the paragraphs, right there, the paragraphs are numbered 1, 2, 3. Don't count 9. So 1 through 8. He actually, the first letter in Hebrew, the first letter of each paragraph, he wrote the name Shlomo Halevi. So he really liked himself and this particular prayer, and he wrote Shlomo Halevi. If you're having trouble identifying, I'm happy to show you after Shabbat how to find Shlomo Halevi. But he is in there, and he loved this concept of bringing in the bride so much that during Shabbat we invited a bride to spend time with us that, like I said, enhanced our Shabbat experience. And so this is Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, this idea of please enter bride and enter for us to make the Sabbath really special. So we're going to be doing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. 1, 2, 5, and 9. When we get to 9, we're going to stand and face the door to welcome in the Shabbat bride. All right, page 20. Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela, Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmi'anu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, Leshem ultilferet velitila, Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה. פני שבת נקבלה, לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה. סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה, לך דודי לקראת כלה. פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה. פני שבת נקבלה. Number 5. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי. אורי, אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה. פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה. פני שבת נקבלה. Paragraph number 9, and we stand and face the door, welcome the Shabbat bride. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה. פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה. פני שבת נקבלה. Please be seated. We continue on page 24. 24. שלום עליכם מלאכי השרת, מלאכי עליון, מי מלך מלאכי המלאכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. בואכם לשלום מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, מי מלך מלאכי המלאכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ברכוני לשלום מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, מי מלך מלאכי המלאכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתכם לשלום מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, מי מלך מלאכי המלאכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. We begin to transition now out of Kabbalat Shabbat, out of this official welcome of our Shabbat bride, and the great transitioner is Chatzi Kaddish. That can be found on page 26. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב יאמרו אמן. יהא שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם לא מעולמיה, יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי קודשה בריחו, לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמא, ואמרו amen. Continue with the Baruch Hu now on page 28, and together we stand. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Baruchu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach, hamevorach leolam vaed. Hamevorach, hamevorach leolam vaed. We thank God for making nights on page 30. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim v'chokhma poteach sha'arim ובתבונה משנה עתים ומחליף את הזמנים ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו. ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב ערבים. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings forth the evening and allows our evening to flow. As we transition now from this idea of creation and slowly move into this idea of revelation, we continue on page 33 at the bottom. Let's alternate paragraphs. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us, and the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works, and living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai echad. Baruch Shem kevod malchuto leolam vaed. Please be seated. We continue with Ve'ahavta on page 36. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. We continue now on the top of page 39. Let's read that together. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot. Wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt. There's a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there's no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. And just before we continue with Michamocha, which is, of course, our song of redemption and our song of freedom, we have to also clearly connect to our secular day of coming that's coming soon on the 4th of July, where we can feel that we are independent in America here also and appreciate that. And so we should connect those as we continue the words of Michamocha, appreciating the redemptive connection and the freedoms that existed for us from God in our text when we left Egypt, but also now today in 2021, where we get to celebrate with hot dogs and fireworks and sales, which I don't think was happening in the desert, unless they had really good sales in the desert. I don't think they had hot dogs either. You think they had hot dogs? You think so? They probably, maybe they had a hot dog. I mean, they probably had cattle. Do you think they had ketchup? Do you put ketchup on your hot dog? All right. Mustard. Relish. Sauerkraut. All right, great. Okay. This is a very important conversation. I think it is. You know what? We're free to do whatever you'd like. I like a little ketchup on there. I'm sorry. I like a little ketchup on there, a little bit. Not like a ton. It's just like a little bit of ketchup first, and then the mustard, and then I put it, and then it's together. But that's no. I'm getting a lot of no's. I'm getting a lot of icks. I see through the masks, and I'm getting an ick through their mask. Like you're like, no, it's okay. To each his or her own. It's okay. I respect. I am not judging you on nor should you judge me, even though you're making faces at me about how I ate my hot dog. So, I also only eat kosher hot dog. So that's also something that I eat. And there's no, I'm not going to get into this whole conversation with you about hot dogs, but although we did. Okay, so we are going to continue with our song of redemption, this beautiful idea in our text where God frees us from our bondage and into freedom with the words of Michamocha on page 40. Yai lai lai la lai la 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 lai 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 la lai la 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 lai ya lai la lai 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 la la lai ya lai 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 mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai mi kamocha neda b'kodesh nora tehilot osef ele nora tehilot osef ele מלאכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלינו ואמרו, זה אלינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגואלו מעל חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. As we turn our page now to page 42, we always appreciate this idea of God taking care of us, God protecting us, God creating a shield around us and a shelter beneath the wings of God for us as well, that God willing and through our combined work in partnership, we can create a world where we don't have to worry about illness and war and famine and sorrow. And I think that only happens when we work together on that. Clearly we need God's support and God's help, but God does not do that alone. God needs partners, and that's us, for us to be in that together. And so we continue now with the words of Hashkivenu, and this idea of thanking and appreciating God and the shelter that God provides for us. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomrenu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomrenu lechaim. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts. We may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai hapores sukat shalom aleinu ve'ala kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. page 44. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אות היא לעולם, אות היא לעולם, אות היא לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. Continue now with the Amidah on page 46, and together we stand. Adonai שפתי תפתח ופי אגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, ve'Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לפני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים וחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. Please take some time now for your own silent prayers, beginning here on page 52 through page 62, and whenever you're finished, please be seated. יהיו לרצון אמרי פי, והגיון ליבי לפניך. אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי, וגואלי, וגואלי. May the words of my mouth and meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. So I don't think that America makes hero movies that are surprising. Meaning the hero usually wins at the end. It's usually a happy ending. It's not that complicated. There are a few. I was talking about some superhero stuff with a few people on the phone earlier, and usually it ends when if it doesn't end well, you're kind of shocked and upset. And the Torah portion has there's a weird, this week has a weird ickiness, but also like a successful hero that happens at the same time. But it's kind of like they end up being the hero, and they are the hero in the text. It happens, so it is a done deal. It's in the Torah, so it's done. But there's some weird ickiness in it, and I just want us to examine it just a little bit. And it ends up being very important, and the message ends up being important. It's just there's some weirdness that happens. And here is the caveat. Here's like the warning before, is that this took place in biblical times. So what takes place here is not something that should happen in in 2000, in the 2000s, right? In 2021, right? Let's not follow in the steps of how this works. It worked in the Bible. Yes, good, nodding heads. No one's going to do what he did, right? Great, because it involves a spear, and so no one's going to be walking around with a spear, right? Please, hands. No one. Anyone own a spear? Great. Okay, I feel better. Okay, this will make everything a lot easier to talk about. So, the Torah portion this week is called Pinchas. Pinchas is one of the Torah portions in our text that is named after a person. And so Pinchas was a guy who became the high priest, which means that he was a big deal because not everyone got to be the high priest, and he got to be the high priest. And he also got this cool extra bonus from God, where God gives him like this pact of peace, like a leadership pin, if you will, of peace. Because in the previous Torah portion, there's an outbreak of misbehavior, and Pinchas takes it into his own hands, literally, takes a spear and rams it through two people, and because he does that, he's rewarded. So it's complicated. Remember I told you, this is why I said we're not using our 2021 hat on this. It doesn't work, because it doesn't work in our world, but it works in a biblical sense, and so I just want us to think about it. Okay, that was my big caveat. Or some of you already have doubtful looks. I see there are doubtful looks, but I don't write this stuff. It's pre-written. We got the same thing last year. I'm sorry about Pinchas. It's in the Torah. So what's interesting is this misbehavior is happening, and Moses is standing there and watching it. But what the commentaries say is that, and it's a good term, that he's stymied, right? Stymied is, everyone know the word stymied? That he's sort of stuck. He's mesmerized in this moment. He's sort of stunned that it's happening, and he's so stunned that he doesn't do anything about it. He just stands there. So it's Pinchas, who's much younger than Moses, who actually gets up and takes makes an action, and because of this action, this plague, this bad stuff that's happening, actually ends instantly because he does it. And so that's the sort of opening of what I want us to be thinking about. So Moses is stuck. He's a little stymied. It's Pinchas who carries out the act. And because of that, Moses says to Pinchas, listen, you did this. You should get the glory, not me. I often get the glory, but you should get the glory for this moment. So here's where I want us to move away from the spear moment and think about it in a different way. And I want you to think about it in terms of Purim. I want you to think about Purim. Purim is great. Purim is amazing. And there's this great idea in Purim where Mordechai speaks to Esther and right in this very, very critical moment and says, you know, if you don't go talk to the king right now, there's a good chance all the Jews are going to be wiped out. This is the shot. You have a shot to fix everything. So what the commentary says to come rescue us in this week's Torah portion, away from this sort of weirdness that's in the text, is to talk about sometimes are there moments in our lives where we're so compelled to do something for the greater good. Not with a spear, but for the greater good. Just like Esther did, because the commentary runs to Esther to say, because Esther does it. And we love Esther for it because she saves the Jewish people of Shushan. Because she has to go and do something that's, essentially it's impossible to go and just walk into the king's chambers unannounced and ask for something. But Pinchas does it. And he makes this decision. He's sort of given clearance by Moses to do it, and he takes on this decision, and he then takes the next step forward. And he doesn't know if he should do it because he's kind of the new kid on the block. He's not Moses. He's definitely not Aaron. Aaron is deceased at this point. So is Miriam, by the way. So it's really only Moses that's left. And so Pinchas decides to take action, and in taking action, he creates something that's really lovely. And he takes a chance. And if he didn't take that chance, by the way, then who knows how the story would have gone on. And that's what Pinchas, the story, teaches us. Not Pinchas, the human, complicated, but Pinchas, the idea, is that sometimes there are moments where we can't sit idly by, and we're just at a point where we can't do it anymore, and there's something that we have to do. It's just too much. I can't sit here and watch this happen anymore, whatever this blank is. I watched, I listened, and now I can't do it anymore. So what's asked of us that's different than Pinchas, because we're not in the Bible, is how do we do this in our lives today, and how do we do it productively? How do we do it safely? How do we do it congregationally? How do we do it as a group? How do we make our voices heard to change something? How when we sit back and we think to ourselves, I can't do this anymore, how do we take the next constructive step? That's what the Torah portion asks us. Not Pinchas, the guy necessarily, but what the Torah portion asks us to take this lifetime opportunity moment to make a difference in our lives, in our family lives, in our society's life, for us to move forward. And that's what I want us to think about on this Shabbat. It's the Shabbat of the 4th of July. And we are appreciating our own freedom. And there are opportunities that we have to appreciate our freedom, and there were opportunities for us to get to this freedom. And so that's just one example. There are millions of examples. There could be small ones in our own lives, achievements that we have to conquer for us to move to take that next step. Now, as Reform Jews, we get to criticize the text pretty hard. So I criticize this text pretty hard because I'm appalled by the actions in which Pinchas takes to do it. And I get to say that because I'm a Reformed Jew. I do get to, though, take what I think is good about the concept as a Reformed Jew and put it somewhere really valuable that I think is a good idea for us to do, for us to take action, for us to say, I am sick of this. I am sick of, we had a conversation about, I am sick of this not so sudden pop-up of anti-Semitism that's happening all over. That a rabbi gets accosted in the Northeast, right? That gets beaten up, right? That's something for me to say, I'm not good with that. That's when we have to come and say, I can't sit idly by with that anymore. So I take this idea of Pinchas, I break it in half, I put the part that I don't like over here, and I keep this part where I think that it's very valuable, near and dear to my heart, to say, now on this Shabbat, I invite all of us to come up with what is it inside of us that we can do, that we can make a change, that we have this moment, like Esther did. Because Esther took a stand, and because of that stand, the Jews of Shushan live. So what is that stand that we have to do? And again, not the grandiose, big Jewish save the world thing, unless we're doing that, which is okay with me, by the way. It could be something small in our own communities, in our own lives, that we just make a decision that we have to move forward. And so I hope this is a Shabbat filled with those thoughts for you, of how important it is for us to share our voice when we need to, and how valuable that is, especially for Jews and for the Jewish people, to share our voice when we need to. Shabbat Shalom. We are going to think of those in our community who are in need of healing, physical, emotional, or spiritual healing. We are, of course, thinking of all of the families, friends, and loved ones in the Surfside community who we are still, so many rescue workers are still working to uncover all of that rubble. So we are thinking of them, and in our congregation we are thinking of Rabbi Henry Balser, Chava Leah Bat Esther, Gary Bendel, Dvorah Kenny Benson, Natalie Burke, Matthew Burke, Robin Burke, Belle Bloom, Marshall Cohen, Karen Coles, Chuck Curry, Adam Danton, Mark Davis, John Day, Jaden Deal, Anthony D. Giantomosa, Anthony D. Gian Tomaso, Judith Dratler, Philip Dratler, Bobby Fitchman, Herbert Fitchman, Mark Fine, Janet Fortier, Paula Froh, Ian Stewart Fruman, Alan Gartner, T. Joshua Modise Gavin, Andrew Glatt, E. Greenberg, Curtis Groden, M. Hassan, Ellen Hedrick, Larry Horn, Paulette Howard, Howard Isserlis, Stan Jacobson, Ira Kafka, Shirley Kafka, Gary Kane, Esther Rhoda Kaufman, Sarah Krifser, Stuart Kruger, Gloria Land, Susan Linder, Richard Levine, Rochelle Liebman, Robin Lopato Hest, Michael McHale, Michael Medoff, Arnold Plotsky, Gloria Plotsky, Russ Radke, Ruth Raymond, Kathy Sebedou, David Baruch Ben Razel, Bobby Ross, Mark Rosenberg, Lexi Schlesinger, Mark Samuel, David Schwartz, Marcia Shapiro, Danielle, Francis Shaw, Marcy Cheryl, Shmuel Ben Vita, Karen Silver, Robert Solomon, Diane Spiro, Frank Stadulis, Elisa Stravola, Ken Tankus, Claire Weiss, Barbara Werner, Tammy Werner, Vicky Wilson, Levi Yitzchak Ben Sura, Yehudit Bat Bluma, and any name you'd like to add at this time. משבח אבותינו ואמותינו אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, שרה, רבקה, חלב לאה, וברך את החולים, ברכו ימלא רחמים עליהם, לחמם ולפותם ולהחזיקם, וישלח להם מהרה רפואה שלמה מן השמיים, רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף, השתה בגלה בזמן קריב, ונאמר אמן. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Becca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion, for their health be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit, as together we say, Amen. Quick announcements. Tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, Torah study. If you're interested in breaking down this Pinchas story and where it comes from, then join us. It's going to be a very interesting conversation, 9 o'clock on Zoom, and the Zoom link comes to you directly to your email. But we will be discussing the really complex idea of why he gets this special pact of peace from God, actually. So that's happening tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. We are compiling High Holiday stuff for you, so you should be getting lots of High Holiday stuff soon, because they're coming. Promise, they're coming. Yeah. What's that? And they're don't say they're early, because they come the same time every year. So yeah. So that's happening. Please, if you have any supplies you would like to donate to the Surfside community, we have a bin in the carpool turnabout there. You can drop off that stuff anytime, as long as you have a sticker, as long as you're cleared by security to come onto campus. Come right on, drop your stuff off, and there are lists that we have available for you for what they're looking for. Particularly right now, I just saw they're looking for inexpensive cell phone chargers and things like that, because people are having difficulty communicating with one another because they can't find their cell phones. So that, and of course any sort of toiletries that are available, and things like that. So please think of our neighbors as well, our neighbors to the south as well. We are going to begin to conclude our service with Aleinu. That is on page 282 in your Sidurim, and together we stand. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. We transition our thoughts now to Kaddish Yatom, to Mourner's Kaddish. We think in the period of Shiva of Dr. Harold Grossman, in the period of Shloshim, the immediate 30-day mourning period, Barry Glick and Trudy Berzon, and our yortzites that occur for us on this Shabbat: Miriam Appel, Eugene J. Altman, Moses Auslander, Sanford Blitz, Sandra Diamond, Ethel Ehrlich, Morris Faig, Leon Fitchman, Joseph Freeman, Jean Gittleson, Arthur Glickman, Lottie Goldberg, Ruth Goldberg, Leonard Greenberg, John Iverson, Michael Jupiter, Matthew Caston, Rose Katz, Herman Kupferberg, Dorothy Kurlander, Ruth Kushner, Lonnie Larson, Edwin Lickenfeld, Charles Lifton, Melvin Miller, Pearl Mistroff, Leopold Mueller, Ruth Penzel, Marion Plotkin, Beatrice Poses, Gerald Richards, Charlotte Rosenberg, Abraham Rosenblatt, Alan Rubin, Samuel Salem, Aaron Samet, Jean Schiffman, Ann Silver, Albert Sklar, Jack Small, Ann Tanner, Gloria Werner, Abraham Winnick, Louis Zeiden. To those names, we had any name that you would like to add at this time. Kadisha Torah Mourner's Cottage can be found on page 294. Itkadal v'ikadash shmei Rabbah, b'alma divra chirutei v'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chay dechol beit Israel b'agala v'zman kariv v'imru. Amen. יהא שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולמי עולמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה על שמי לקודשה בריחו, לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהא שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael ve'emru Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, as together we say Amen. Please be seated. We conclude with Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. Adonai oz lamo yiten, Adonai v'rechet amav shalom. May God give strength unto our people. Continue to bless us with hope and strength and love and peace. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Have a wonderful Shabbat and stay dry. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom.